The studio lights blazed bright, the cameras rolled, and millions of Americans sat glued to their television screens as the stage was set for a moment that would change the course of political history. On one side of the debate table sat Donald Trump, the former president known for his bold claims and even bolder denials, adjusting his tie with visible unease. Across from him sat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, her eyes sharp, her posture steady, radiating the calm confidence of someone who had come prepared to speak the truth no matter how uncomfortable it would make her opponent. The moderator asked a question about integrity in politics, and Trump leaned into his microphone, ready to boast about his record, but before he could finish his rehearsed line, Jasmine interrupted with a voice that cut through the air like a knife. "Mr. Trump, you can try to spin all you want, but the American people deserve the truth, and the truth is that you've been hiding behind lies for too long." The audience shifted in their seats, sensing something explosive was about to happen. Trump's face tightened, his usual smirk faltering as Jasmine reached into her folder and began laying out facts, receipts, and documented evidence that left the room hanging on her every word. "Let's talk about the money trail," she began, her tone steady, her words precise. "You claimed you built your empire on hard work, yet records show multiple payments from foreign entities funneled into shell companies connected to your organization during your presidency. That's not hard work. That's corruption. And it's not an opinion, it's fact." Gasps echoed through the live audience as she displayed the documents on the big screen behind them. Trump shifted in his chair, his lips twitching as he muttered, "Fake news, all fake news." But Jasmine wasn't done. "Fake news?" she fired back, raising an eyebrow. "These are court-verified documents. Are the courts fake too? Or is it that the truth makes you panic because you know the walls are closing in?" The camera zoomed in on Trump's face, beads of sweat forming at his temple. He tried to laugh it off, but his voice cracked as he said, "This is a witch hunt. Everyone knows it." Jasmine leaned closer, her voice calm but firm. "The only witch hunt here is the one you ran on the American people, selling them lies while enriching yourself behind closed doors. You told them you were fighting for the forgotten, but in reality, you were fighting for your own pocketbook. You've manipulated the system, and now you're terrified because the truth is out." The audience erupted in murmurs, some nodding, some whispering, while millions at home watched in stunned silence. Trump tried to raise his voice over the commotion, but Jasmine's words cut through his bluster like thunder breaking the sky. "And let's not forget January 6th, she continued, her eyes locking onto his. "You incited an attack on your own country, on the very democracy you swore to protect. People lost their lives because of your words. And now, you stand here trying to rewrite history as if we didn't all witness it with our own eyes." Trump slammed his hand on the table, his face reddening, but his anger only betrayed his fear. "That's not true. That's not how it happened," he barked. But Jasmine didn't flinch. She leaned back slightly, allowing the silence to linger before speaking softly but with razor-sharp precision. "Your panic right now tells the world everything they need to know. You're scared because the lies you've lived behind are collapsing. You can shout, you can deny, you can deflect, but the truth is louder than your voice tonight." The studio fell into a hushed silence, every eye locked on Trump, who now sat fidgeting, clearly rattled. His attempts at interruption grew weaker as Jasmine continued to expose more details about hidden bank accounts, testimony from former allies, and internal memos that revealed his awareness of illegal activities. Each revelation hit like a hammer on stone, shattering the carefully crafted image he had spent years defending. Trump's bravado was slipping. His once booming voice trembled, his phrases repeated as if his mind was scrambling for a lifeline. "This is unfair, nobody's been treated worse than me, it's a disgrace." But the more he spoke, the more he sounded less like a leader and more like a man cornered by the weight of his own actions. Jasmine looked directly into the camera, her voice steady, speaking not just to the audience in the room but to every citizen watching at home. "America, you deserve leaders who don't hide in the shadows of deceit. You deserve honesty, accountability, and integrity. Tonight, you've seen what fear looks like when it's confronted with truth. Don't be fooled by noise. Look at the facts. Listen to the silence between his denials. That's where the truth lives. The crowd burst into applause, some standing, others clapping with tears in their eyes. Trump tried to talk over the noise, waving his hands, insisting it was all lies, but his words were drowned out by the cheers for Jasmine's courage. At that moment, the world had witnessed not just a political debate but a reckoning. Jasmine Crockett had exposed the cracks in Trump's armor, revealing the man behind the bravado, and for the first time, America saw him not as the untouchable figure he pretended to be but as a man in panic, cornered by the very truth he had spent years trying to bury. The broadcast ended, but the shockwaves continued to ripple across the nation. People took to social media, clips went viral within minutes, and news outlets replayed the confrontation on a loop. Trump's panic became the defining image of the night, while Jasmine's composure and unflinching honesty elevated her as a voice of justice and courage. In living rooms, cafes, and on the streets, Americans debated what they had just witnessed, but one thing was clear. History had been made. Do you want me to also make a more aggressive and fiery version of this speech, closer to 1,000 words, where Jasmine doesn't just calmly expose him but absolutely destroys him on live TV? Trump sat under the glare of the studio lights, a man who had built his entire persona on confidence and bravado now visibly shifting in his chair as the tension in the room grew thicker with every passing second, and across from him Jasmine Crockett leaned forward, her calm yet piercing gaze fixed on him like a spotlight that revealed every hidden shadow, her voice steady and unwavering as she began to speak. Mr. Trump, the American people deserve the truth tonight, not another round of your excuses and deflections, not another show of smoke and mirrors designed to distract us from the facts, and the audience grew quiet, sensing that something historic was about to unfold, the cameras zooming closer to capture every flicker of panic crossing Trump's face as Jasmine continued. For years you've claimed to be a fighter for the forgotten, but the evidence shows you weren't fighting for them, you were fighting for yourself, lining your pockets while preaching about patriotism, hiding behind slogans while you sold the very soul of this nation for personal gain, and Trump forced a smile, shaking his head, muttering, "Fake news, all fake, it's a witch hunt," but his voice cracked and betrayed the fear he tried to disguise, and Jasmine, unfazed, pressed on, pulling out documents that flashed onto the giant screen behind them. These are financial records, court-verified, proving payments funneled through shell companies connected to your organization, foreign money landing in your accounts while you sat in the highest office of this land, and you dare call that patriotism, you dare look into this camera and tell the American people you were working for them when the truth is you were selling them out piece by piece, and the audience gasped as the evidence glared across the screen, Trump's smile faltering, his jaw tightening as he sputtered, "This is all lies, total lies, I've done nothing wrong," but Jasmine leaned closer, her tone cutting through the noise. "Lies don't come with court seals, Mr. Trump, and denials don't erase signatures, and the panic in your eyes right now tells the people more truth than you've spoken in years, because deep down you know the walls are closing in, you know that no amount of shouting can drown out the facts, no insult can erase the truth," and Trump slammed a hand on the table, the sound echoing through the studio as he barked, "This is a disgrace. Nobody's been treated worse than me, I'm the victim here." But Jasmine refused to yield, her voice rising. With power, a victim doesn't incite an attack on their own country, a victim doesn't stand at a podium and tell a crowd to march on the Capitol, a victim doesn't watch as their supporters smash windows, assault officers, and threaten lawmakers, all while you sat back and did nothing, enjoying the chaos you had unleashed, and a heavy silence swept across the audience, the weight of her words pressing into every heart. Listening, Trump's face red with anger and fear as he tried to interject, "You don't understand, I was defending America," but Jasmine shot back instantly, "Defending America? You almost destroyed it, your words lit the fire on January 6th, and people died because of you, officers who swore to protect this country were beaten, citizens who believed your lies were led into ruin, and now you sit here, desperate to rewrite history, but you can't, because we all saw it, we all lived it, and you cannot run from the truth forever." The audience erupted into murmurs. some shaking their heads in disbelief at Trump's continued denials while others leaned forward, captivated by Jasmine's relentless command of the moment, and Trump, his voice cracking, repeated, "It was rigged, the whole thing was rigged," clinging to his worn-out refrain like a lifeline, but Jasmine would not let him off the hook. "Rigged? You've cried rigged every time you faced the possibility of losing, but here's the reality, the only thing rigged was the system you built for yourself, the backdoor deals, the tax evasions, the hush money payments, the manipulation of loyal followers into believing you were their savior while you treated them as pawns in your own power game, and tonight, the mask is off, the performance is over, and America sees you for what you are." A man terrified of the truth, the camera panned to Trump's face, sweat glistening on his forehead, his lips trembling as he muttered denials that grew weaker with every attempt, his legendary confidence crumbling under the weight of exposure, and Jasmine, refusing to give him a moment to recover, turned directly to the camera, her eyes blazing with conviction. "America, you deserve leaders who put you first, not themselves. You deserve honesty, integrity, and courage, not someone who hides behind lies, not someone who manipulates you into believing falsehoods while secretly cashing in on your trust. Tonight you saw fear unmasked, you saw panic in the eyes of a man who knows his empire of deceit is collapsing, you saw that when confronted with the truth, the loudest man in the room suddenly had nothing left to say, and the crowd burst into applause, some standing, others shouting in support, their voices drowning out Trump's desperate attempts to speak, the studio alive with the sound of a nation awakening to the reality before them, Trump waving his hands, insisting, "It's not true, none of it's true," but his words faded beneath the thunder of claps and cheers, and as the broadcast came to a close, the image burned into the minds of millions was not Trump's bluster but Jasmine Crockett's unwavering strength, her refusal to bend, her courage in speaking truth to power, leaving the country buzzing with conversations, social media exploding with clips of Trump's panic and Jasmine's fearless confrontation, the moment etched into history as the night the truth refused to be silenced. The night a man who had long thrived on fear and falsehood was finally undone by a woman armed only with facts, courage, and the unshakable conviction that the American people deserve better. Do you want me to make this even sharper and add more direct attacks with emotional punches to push it closer to a full 1,000 words?